Welcome, everybody, to the SideLine Speaks. Kevin Walker and Jason Collins. No Brittany Jones tonight. Britt had some stuff going on with work, so she couldn't be here tonight. But me and Kay Walker are going to hold it down. A lot of great stuff to talk about. So it's going to be a great show, even without the lovely Brittany Jones. Kay Walker, what's going on, man? How you
All,
doing?
all is all is well, man. All is well. Nursing a little injury, man, but I'm good to go. And yeah, looking forward to another great one, even without Britt. Well, we're
Yeah.
gonna do our best to hold it down for
Yeah, we're going to do our best here, man. Lucky for us, there's a lot going on right now. Basketball, football, coaches losing their jobs, a
Yeah.
playoff game
Right.
tonight. So we got a lot of great stuff to get into. Let's start right there, K Walk, with some coaches, man, that have been let go. Let's start with Monty Williams, man. He was the first
Yeah.
to go. Obviously, Phoenix gets eliminated by Denver really kind of in an embarrassing fashion in my opinion. You
Yeah.
know what? If you're going to lose to the number one seed, okay, fine. But to not really compete, to get blown out on your home floor, I thought it was a
Yeah.
bad look. Apparently, the ownership in Phoenix felt the same way, and they let Monty go. What were your thoughts on Monty Williams being fired?
Yeah, it was tough, man. When I first heard it, I didn't believe it at first. I was like,
Yeah,
no, they're joking. This is one of those fake, fake news or fake reports. But it was reported. You guys reported it in the thread as well. So I was like, wow, did that definitely didn't see it coming, for sure. I thought that you couldn't really put that on anyone in particular. If you're going to put it on anyone, you could put it on DeAndre Ayton, but it's not enough to trade him away or anything like that, especially after him signing that big deal recently. Yeah, I just thought they were undermanned, man. I just thought that the fact of the matter is that bench wasn't there. That trade for KD took a lot of their weapons off of the bench away from them, and I thought that was ultimately what their demise was. And then at the last game of the series, ultimately, DeAndre Ayton goes down with that rib injury. I know he was, I know Joker was beating him up, but I didn't know he was
yeah,
beating him up that bad. He was
yeah.
tenderizing those ribs. But yeah, overall, man, it was surprising to me. I liked Monty. I immediately thought KD had something to do with that because that's what you normally do. Is like, why Monty Williams? Why is he the scapegoat out of all people? In this particular situation. So again, it was surprising to me. I thought he was a good coach. I still think he's a good coach. I think he's a good fit for that particular those particular guys. I just think that they have to get a little deeper on the bench. But yeah, definitely surprising to me, Jay. And I would not be surprised if we see him coaching somewhere next season for sure.
Yeah, man, well respected around the league. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody loves this guy, and you can't argue with the success that he's had. I mean,
yeah,
no one was talking about Phoenix at all before Monty Williams got there. They were in the basement of the West, so he really turned that thing around. Like you, I was surprised too, man. I knew they, with obviously when you add KD, expectations go up. But when
of
you
course.
just looked at the matchup, Denver was the better, much deeper team. So I don't
Yeah,
know that you can really hold that against Monty.
exactly.
But I do think some of the problems with DeAndre Ayton, and then maybe the way that they just didn't compete, plus new ownership, maybe they just want to put their
Right.
mark on the team and kind of make the hires that they want to hire. But I agree with you 100%. I think Monty will find a new home shortly.
Hmm.
Let's talk Doc Rivers, man, because was it news broke today? I think
Today,
that
yeah,
Doc
today.
Doc's going to be
Yeah.
let go. He won't be returning in Philly. I kind of had a feeling that maybe
Hmm.
this one was going to happen. I wasn't as
Yeah.
surprised, but what were your thoughts on Doc being let go?
Yeah, I thought this was I wasn't surprised as much as I was with Monty Williams for sure. I didn't expect it to happen, but I'm not surprised at the same time because of the fact of the matter is, if you listen to James Harden after that Game 7 loss to the Celtics, and someone asked him about Doc Rivers and did he feel like he should come back, he kind of excuse me, he kind of brushed it off,
Yeah,
answered it, but didn't answer it at the same time.
yeah,
And it kind of led you to believe that, maybe James Harden had something to do with that. But I think the writing was on the wall for Doc for the most part because of the fact that the matter is, he's, excuse me, his track record is not great in Game 7s. And he kind of lost that team, towards the end, if you will. Some of the question marks and people still holding it against him, with the whole Tobias Harris and Jimmy
yeah,
Butler situation. They're
yeah.
still holding that over his head. They won't let that go. But yeah, so it was like it was a no-win situation for him. If they won, they were going to win despite of him. If they lost, they were going to lose because of him. So it was a no-lose situation for him. But he was there for 3 years. And they had, I think they have one of the best records in the last 3 years overall, top three records overall in the regular season. But when it came down to the postseason, he just didn't perform there. Last year he got outed by the Heat. This year, and of course by the Celtics, and took him to Game 7. But yeah, not surprised there, Jay. Will he have? Will he? I'll be surprised if he's coaching next year. I can see him in the booth somewhere. Talking about X's and O's and things of that nature. I don't see him getting a job anytime soon, to be honest with you, Jay. I think that might have been his last hurrah, if you will, as a head coach, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. It's funny because I think sometimes in the NBA, some of these franchises just become a victim of expectations. Like you look at Milwaukee, they let Budenholzer go. Monty's let go. Doc let go on all playoff teams, but when the expectations are like championship or bust, the coach is going to take the fall. But I agree with you, man. Like when you lose 10 game sevens, like when you give up 3-1 leads, 3-2 leads, and you keep constantly losing these series, at some point you got to face the music. Like this might just be who he is as a coach.
Exactly.
So I wasn't surprised. I think it might be good for Philly to go in a different direction anyway. I was a little shocked by like James Harden kind of shrugging that question off, because I think there's a lot of questions about his future as well. I mean, this guy was a ghost the other day in Boston. He certainly didn't show up. Do you expect Harden to be back in Philly, K-Walk? There's rumors that he wants to go back to Houston.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised in that, Jay. I think it was one of those things where it was like at the end of the season, a lot of people were posing the question, if the Sixers don't advance, who one of these guys have to go, whether it be Doc, whether it be James Harden, because both of them were obviously, Doc was on the hot seat, and James Harden, he has, I believe he's a free agent this year, isn't he? I believe he signed that
I believe
deal.
So.
Yeah, so he's a free agent, but so yeah, it was. I was very surprised the way he answered that question and shrugged that question off about Doc. He just made it seem like I really don't care. When you bring this question up, makes you think that does he have his eyes set on another destination? Does he want to be there? And I think the Sixers did that and said, okay, Harden, we got rid of Doc. Now, we're gonna say we're taking you over him. I mean, for him to disappear in that series, like you called him a ghost, literally he only had 9 points, man, in that game. That's just ridiculous.
Embarrassing.
That's ridiculous. You have PJ Tucker outscoring you. That's a shame. So yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see. Houston, I haven't heard anything about Harden going any other place, but Houston, interesting destination there. I know they were one of the worst teams record wise in the league. They kind of turned it on the latter part of the season, but not good enough, not well enough to make any real noise. But Houston, it's an interesting destination for sure, unless he knows something that we don't know as far as someone else going there. But interesting move there.
Yeah, man. And other than obviously, like, let's talk about that Game 7 a little bit. Jason Tatum played out of his mind, obviously. But what else went wrong for Philly? Like when you break down that game, what did you see?
Just no desire, no energy, just no willingness, no heart. It was like the first game of the series, or they were up 3-0. It looked like they were playing in a game that they felt like they had they had wriggle room to lose the game. That's how they looked. And then it just we know the situation with Jason Tatum, but you'd have to throw a lot of that in there as well. But that doesn't excuse what you got out of Embiid. MVP in his 7th game in the playoffs. Embiid scored 15 points. As I mentioned earlier, Harden had 9 points. PJ Tucker had 11 points. And Tobias Harris was their leading scorer with 19 points. That doesn't make sense. When you look at that going in, you're going to get blown out. And you get blown out by what, 20, 30, whatever the number was.
Yeah.
It just showed to me, Jay, to answer the question again, it showed me that they had no heart, no desire. I don't know what it was. They were right there. All they had to do was perform the same way they did the previous game, or close to it. And I thought they were going to win that game. I really thought that. I really thought that Jason Tatum and the Celtics tapped out, even though they were playing on their home court.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It looked like they didn't realize they were playing in a game
Yeah.
7. It's
Yep.
like, like they had more opportunities to
Yeah.
win the series later. And that look, winning a game 7 on the road is hard. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone would have been mad if they just lost the game. But again, the way that they lost the game, it felt
Yes.
like they didn't compete. You get your doors completely blown off. You quit. I think, to me, that's part of the problem. And I think some of that's got to be on Doc. Like, you got to
Yeah,
have your guys
for
ready
sure.
to play. And then the other thing, man, like we crush stars when they don't show up in big games. And Embiid did not show
Mm-mm.
up. Harden,
No.
absolutely awful performance, embarrassing performance, in my opinion. Do you give Embiid a slight pass because I guess he's injured? I mean, obviously he's probably not 100%. To me, if you're out there playing, you're
Hmm.
out there playing. But how do you feel about Embiid's performance?
No, Jay, because he's one of those guys who doesn't make excuses out there. He's come out and said that, listen, if I can play, if I can walk, I can play, and I'm going to give you the best I can. And like you said, he's hurt, he's not injured, he's able to go. He's the MVP. He's always talked about him being, him being that guy that's willing to go out there and play. If he can walk, he can play. And after the game, he mentioned, he said he and Harden can't do it by themselves. Absolutely not. If you're only scoring 24
That's
points,
right.
combined, absolutely not. You're not going to be able to do it by yourselves. So it kind of felt like, there was something going on there, within the locker room, within the laundry room, if you will. But they don't want to air that dirty laundry. So yeah, I think Embiid doesn't. I don't think he gets a pass for this, man. I really don't think he does. Sixers fans may say, "Oh, he played hurt." It's 7 games. You go out there, you got to give more than 15 points, bro.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If your leg has to fall off, then you have to do that, man. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what you have to do. A la Willis Reed, just come out there. If you got a limp, and then show that you're giving it your all. But if you're looking like there's no limp there, and you're looking like you can play with the big boys, then you got to give more than 15 points in that. So no, definitely no pass for MB, no mulligan for MB for me in this game 7.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. I think if you're out there, you got to show up. You're the MVP of the
Yeah.
league. You can't turn in a performance like that in a game 7. You got to give your team more. And even if you're having an off night, because sometimes, hey, the shots just aren't going in. But I
Mhm.
didn't see any aggressiveness from Embiid.
No.
I didn't see him calling for the ball, demanding the ball. I didn't see any of that. It looked like he was just okay with taking the butt kicking
Right.
that the Celtics were giving him. So
Yeah.
I agree with you, man. No pass at all. I do think a fresh coach, a new look, I do think
New
that'll be
area.
good for the
Hmm.
organization. It'll be interesting to see who they bring in there, though. They got to get the right person in
Yeah.
there. Some of the names I've been hearing, I'm like, that's not really an upgrade from Doc.
No.
They really
No.
need to have an upgrade if
Hmm.
since they're making a change. But we'll keep our eyes on it, man. But now with the Celtics winning, it sets up a great matchup, man. With your Miami Heat, the
Yes, sir.
Celtics rematch from last year's Eastern
Yes, sir.
Conference final. This is going to be a great series, man. This is going to
I
be a
hope
great
so. I hope
series.
so.
Um, as a Heat fan, K Walk, if I just said to you, K Walk, if the Heat are going to win this series, what are the 2 or 3 things that they need to do well? What would you say?
First, just play the team defense, man. Team defense, first and foremost. Try to contain Jason Tatum, Smart, Brown, and those guys as much as you possibly can. You're not going to stop all of them at the same time, but just contain them. Kind of like what the Celtics, what the Celtics did to the Sixers in Game 7. Something to that nature. If you can, you got to rebound. You got to out rebound these guys. Keep them off the boards. You can't get no second chance points for these guys. These guys, meaning the Celtics, they tend to get a lot of second chance shots, and that's because they're shooting threes. And when you're missing threes, they tend to deflect or reflect or rebound all the way back out to the 3-point line. So I think they have to box out and get on the boards on the defensive end for sure, and crash the boards on the offensive side as well, and get out on defense as well. So I think those 3 things, you have to play a great team defense. Jimmy has to be Jimmy. Bam has to be Bam. Obviously, the role players, I mean, obviously they have to score the points, but those are the 3 things. I mean, I think definitely have to play D. They have to out rebound them, and Jimmy has to be Jimmy for sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the thing I love about the Heat, man, is that they're not going to beat themselves. Like they're
Right.
going to make you earn it. Where we
Hmm.
see these other teams and kind of this the way they play, they give stuff up. The Heat are going to make you work for everything. You know
Right.
they're going to have a great game plan with Spolstra putting that together.
Hmm.
So I love that about them. And man, Jimmy Butler, like you said, I mean, for whatever reason it is, whatever
Yeah.
he goes to in these clutch moments, man, he's been fantastic in the playoffs. So,
Yeah.
man, I can't wait for this one. Now, obviously, on the other side, Boston with
Yeah.
Tatum and Brown. And I think most people, if they just looked at the rosters, would probably say Boston has the better roster top to
Yeah.
bottom.
Top
That
question.
doesn't mean they're going to win the series, though. To
Right.
me, I think Boston takes a lot of bad shots sometimes. I know they like to shoot a lot of threes, but to me,
Yeah.
every three is not a good three. So it's going to be interesting to kind of watch that dynamic. I do think they have found something playing Williams and Horford on the court at the
So it's the
same
same
time.
time. Right.
They're awfully big, awfully long when they do that.
Hmm.
Horford and Williams, two good defenders, and Horford, when he's hitting, can stretch the floor a little bit. So
Right.
it's going to be a really interesting matchup. Okay, well, I'm not going to ask you to pick the series because sometimes you got to watch a game or two
Yeah. Of
before you kind of
course.
get a feel.
Of
But,
course.
but just game one, obviously, game one's going to be in Boston. How do you see that one playing out? Who do you think walks away with game one?
Yeah, if the Heat can do everything I just I mentioned in the beginning of the of this particular segment, I think the Heat can walk out. I think it can steal one. They can steal one. Will they? I don't know because you just don't know what Jason Tatum you're going to get. You
Yeah.
can get that 51-point Jason Tatum, or you can get that 12-point Jason Tatum. And
Yep.
again, if the Heat can it can contain him, and keep him to like 20 under 25 points, I think they have a really good shot at winning this, winning their opening game, or stealing one, if you will. And that's what their goal is to steal one, to gain the home court advantage. I think they're going to focus in on that. The crowd's going to be rocking.
Yep.
Maybe we're hoping, the Heat fans, we're hoping that the Celtics are tired emotionally from
Yeah.
dealing with that 7-game series, tired physically as well. Yeah, that Horford and Williams matchup, or not matchup, but collabo, if you will, like you mentioned, is going to be very interesting. But Spoelstra always has a way of dialing up stuff to combat that. So that's why I said you got to hit the boards if you're the Heat. I say all that to say, if both teams come out and execute their game plan, I think you got to give the edge to the South side. I just think they just have a little bit more on the offensive end than the Heat. But we've seen what the Heat can do as far as to eliminate their stars, the opposing team stars. You see in the first round against the Bucks with Giannis. They didn't really contain Jalen Brunson too much in that second series, but they contained all the other guys and made them try to beat you. So with that being said, I'll say that the Celtics in a close one, man, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat steals this one.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, man. I feel like this thing could go either way. You're right. Tatum, you could get 50-point Tatum, or that Tatum that
Yeah,
goes like 1 for 16 in the first three
right.
quarters. Like you just
That-
never know what's going to happen
right.
there. But I think it's going to be a great game and a great series for sure, man. So that's definitely going to be a fun one to keep our eyes on. Let's go out west. And before we get into Lakers Nuggets, Lakers eliminated the Warriors. Obviously, Steph and those
Yeah.
boys, the run is over for now. Is this the end of the Warriors as we know them, K Walk, or do you think they have a chance to pony up and get back in it down the line or in the future?
Yeah, I don't. You know what, Jay? It's hard for me to go against the Warriors. I went against the Warriors in the first round against the Kings. They proved me wrong. Obviously, I went against them, and I mean, and well, I went against the Lakers. The Warriors didn't seem like they wanted to be there. Um, I don't know, man. I just thought they would give a little bit more fight than that. And so, with
Yeah.
that being said, I know they were tired. I know they had to go through a lot, but a lot of other teams did too. The Lakers had to go through a lot more than they did to get where they're at. So I'm not going to count them out yet as far as end of a dynasty. I think they regroup or reload. I can't call a team like this to regroup. I think they reload. I think they get some key guys in here. They come back extra motivated, especially Klay Thompson, for real, because of the fact of the matter. I don't know where he was,
Yeah.
what happened with him. I don't know if he was still in the boat from from last year, celebrating. I don't know what happened with that. We know about Jordan Poole and everything there, but yeah, I don't think it's end of a dynasty, man. I don't. I think they come back, they reload, and they'll be one of the top teams in the West next year for sure.
Yeah, I think they're going to add some pieces. I think you're right. It's hard to count them out. I don't love the roster presently constructed.
No,
Like, I think if they're
not.
going to come back with that same roster, I think the West will be too tough. But if they can add some pieces, I think the Warriors could make another run at a title for sure. What do you think about Jordan Poole, man? I don't like him, man. He annoys me. I think the thing that bothers me about him is that he plays like he's better than he is. Like, I think he's a good, solid player. He's not Steph Curry. But they just gave this guy a ton of money, and he was awful in the playoffs. Do you keep Jordan Poole? Do you try to move him? I mean, what do you do with Jordan Poole?
No, I think you try to move him, Jay, because like you mentioned, I was going to use that same analogy. It's like he thinks he's better than he is, as we just same comment. He got that deal, so he's kind of feeling himself. He got that bag, as the young kids call it, whatever they call it. So that means he got paid, he got that money. I think you do move off of him. I think you can get something valuable from him, for sure. So I think it's something that they realize, especially in the heat of things and during the battle, you can't really count on him to come up clutch. We've seen it in the first game. We've seen it throughout the series. I say they move on from him, Jay. I mean, you can get some quality players for him, or a quality player, or something off of your bench. You can get something for him for sure. You may have to eat some of that contract, but nonetheless, it's Jordan Poole. That name alone is going to attract a lot of people saying, okay, well, what do you want for Jordan Poole? And then, they can, say what they need for him or want for him there. But yeah, I think they should move on from him for sure, and use him as that reloading aspect of getting back to their dynasty ways.
Yeah, I'd like to see him move on from him as well. Okay, Walk. All right, let's talk about the Western Conference Final. Lakers, Nuggets. This will be another good one, man. Obviously, the Nuggets have been good all year. I kind of overlooked them. I didn't watch them a lot this year. I was like, the Nuggets, they're the number one seed, but I don't really think they're going to do a whole lot. But after watching them against Phoenix, this is a really good basketball team, man. They're deep. They have a good bench. This is a really good basketball team. Obviously, we know about LeBron and AD on the Lakers. That game tonight tips off 8:30, game one. What's your feeling on this series, man? And what do you think game one? How do you see that one going tonight?
I'm going to give it to the Nuggets, man, because of everything you said. I mean, I think they're just a really good basketball team, and they're really deep as well. That bench is huge. Joker is Jokic, of course. Jamal Murray is Jamal Murray. Aaron Gordon has been playing a lot better as well. I really love his game. He's a really good complementary player to Murray and Jokic, for sure. So I like the Nuggets tonight because they're home, but I think we're going to see. I'm not counting the Lakers out by any stretch. I think the Lakers are motivated. They're playing a lot better. They're rejuvenated. We're going to see a rejuvenated AD, because if we could do that, then it's not going to be easy for the Nuggets by any stretch. But I'm not going to go through the series right now. But just for tonight's game, I'm going to take the Nuggets only because they're home.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the pace of play is going to be big tonight. I really feel like Denver's going to try to run them out of the building. They've got the guys to do it. They've got the bench to do it. And ultimately, I think the pace of play in that high altitude, I don't know that LA is going to be able to run with them tonight. So I like Denver tonight too. But I don't know, man. I think it could be a good series. Like, if AD plays the way that AD is capable of playing, then this thing could be really, really interesting. The thing about Joker, man, like, what you're getting with him every single night. He's really consistent. He's not going to be up and down and up and down. Right. AD's got to match his performance every single night. If he can do that, then I think we got a really good series on our hands. But I'm with you, man. I like Denver tonight as well. Let's just kind of do a what if here, K Walk. And I didn't warn you about this, so
Correct.
K Walk's just going off the top here. But let's what if this thing, K Walk. What if the Lakers win the Western Conference Final?
Wow.
What if they go on to win another NBA championship?
Wow.
What if LeBron plays well and he's like the finals MVP? That would be 5 championships for LeBron. For you, K Walk, does that open the door at all for the GOAT conversation as this man wins another one at 38? Or is that door just completely closed for you?
Yeah, I think it's completely closed for me. You know what? E. Scott, my host on our show on Wednesday nights, made a great point, man. It's like I don't think you can convince MJ fans or the GOAT for the GOAT conversation. I don't think you can convince them that LeBron's going to be the GOAT, no matter what he does from here going forward, and vice versa, and likewise. So I really don't think so. To my end, I'm like, he's absolutely right. There's nothing LeBron could do from this point forward. He can win 3 more right now at the age of 41. He can win 1, and I still wouldn't give him the GOAT title because I'm just an MJ guy. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. But for some of those who may have more of an open mind, Jay, they'll reopen those doors. They'll revisit it and say, well, he now has 6, he now has 7, or whatever the case may be. He has 5. He brought a team. They were in a play-in situation. They brought a 7 seed. They went through the East. They went through the West. They beat the mighty Warriors. Yeah, they can use that argument. They can use all of that. I get it. They could throw that on his resume to make it, look a little more shiny than it actually is. But no, Jay. So for me, I don't think there's anything that LeBron could do to change my mind about who the GOAT is. There's nothing he can do. Me.
I'm with you. I'm in that same boat. I don't think there's anything he can do that's going to change my mind. Because to me, it's not just about points or championships. There's more to just be in the GOAT, in my opinion. And for me, that's MJ all day. Now, I agree with you, though. Like for the LeBron people, there's nothing he can't do to change the fact that they think he's the GOAT. Now, maybe for the people on the fence that are kind of teeter-tottering, maybe it opens the door, like you said, for them. But I think for true Jordan people that grew up when we grew up, K-Walk, I don't think there's anything LeBron can do that's going to change that. I think if he's playing as well as he is at the age of 38, if he wins another title, that's great, and it might make me like him a little bit more.
Yeah,
but it's not gonna make me put him over MJ as the GOAT.
Yeah, I liked him a little bit this past postseason for obvious reasons. A certain a certain series they were in had me liking LeBron this year. But Jay, I'm going to tell you, if LeBron would have won a defensive player of the year award, not just on all first team, all defense, but if he won a defensive player of the year award, I would say I would be on the fence with it. But I just think that's what separates MJ from LeBron is that defensive title that defensive player of the year award that he won back in 1988. I just think that's something you just don't see from your all-time greats, doing it on both ends of the court and being recognized for it as well. Not just, first team defense, but the defensive player of the year award.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, K-Walk. And as good as MJ was on defense, I still don't think people give him his just due for how good of a defender he actually was. You know what I mean? He was the best defender in the league for multiple years. You know, he wasn't just a guy that played good defense. He was the best defender in the league. But I think sometimes because offensively he was just so ridiculous, it overshadowed how good he was on defense. So you're right. I do think if people want to argue that the other stuff is even, whatever, you're right. I think the defense is where you would definitely see some separation between those two guys. All right, good stuff, K-Walk. Let's grab a break, man. We knocked out a quick 30 minutes there. Let's grab a break. When we come back, man, I want to talk about this young kid, Victor Wembanyama. The draft lottery is tonight, so we're going to see who gets the first pick. And I just want to get your breakdown on what you think this kid's going to be like in the NBA. So we'll talk about that when we come back. You guys are listening to the SideLine Speaks with Kevin Walker and Jason Collins, and we'll be back in just a minute.
CampLyman.com is an opportunity for my big boys to come get some work. Let's put it all together. We built from the ground up. Our cliche is it all starts up front. Once again, start, stance, hand placement, hand separation, get-offs, counter moves, a little bit of everything. Polish up those skills before your middle school or high school season began. Just come work on your craft. Once again, CampLyman.com.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Britne Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.
All right, welcome back to the SideLine Speaks with Kevin Walker and Jason Collins. Guys, don't forget, do us that subscribe button, hit that like, and hit that share button. We're trying to get this thing out to as many eyeballs as possible. You can also listen to us on Apple, Google, and Spotify, or if that's where you get your podcast. So check us out there as well. If you love sports, this is the show for you, because we just get into heavy sports talk. So do us a favor, like it, share it, comment. We appreciate anything you can do for the show. All right, K-Walk, we got the draft lottery tonight, man, and the consensus number one pick is Victor Wembanyama, 7'4", 7'5", 19-year-old kid. This guy, they say he's the best prospect since LeBron James. I've even heard people say if him and LeBron were coming out in the same draft class, it would have been close on who to take. So, I mean, he's coming into the league with a ton of hype. What do you think, man? What's his potential? How do you feel about him? And just kind of looking at highlights and watching him play, how do you see Victor Wembanyama playing out in the NBA?
Yeah, man, I think his game transitions very well to today's NBA, especially as a big man. I mean, we're talking 7'4", a guy who can shoot, a guy who can handle the ball. I mean, it's just a guy that, again, he's just a perfect fit for the NBA right now. A lot of people say he's kind of light there, but you look at KD. A lot of people want to compare him to, well, will he be the next Kristaps Porzingis? But I don't think I can see where you can compare those two. But I think he's poised. He has he does all the little things that you do, the separation, his recovery as well. Even if he gets beat, his recovery is it's just so ridiculous. And he has an 8-foot wingspan. So I mean, shooting over him is just ridiculous. I mean, you gotta shoot at from half court or from the logo while he's at the 3-point line, and you're still making it tip. But yeah, I mean, just a great ball handler, great shooter. I just think that he's going to have to work on his game a little bit more, maybe get a little beefier, or just play a little heavier than he actually is, because you can do that without actually beefing up. You can make some of those moves. But watching him, Jay, I just think that he has everything. He's only 19 years old, 7'4", 19 years old, 8-foot wingspan, can handle the ball. Just phenomenal, man. I just want to see this kid do well. Hopefully he can stay healthy and he's in the right environment, and we can see what this kid is really capable of being.
Yeah, man. There's a few teams holding their breath tonight, hoping that they get that number one pick, because this guy really could change your franchise. We've seen tall guys like 7'4", 7'5", but none of them have the skill set that this kid is coming into the league with. I mean, like when you think about KD, I mean, this guy is 4 to 5 inches taller than KD with a longer wingspan. So, and the skill level to go with it. So I think that's going to be exciting. The thing that makes me a little bit nervous is kind of what you alluded to. His frame, he's very slight of frame. Now, he is only 19, so you would hope that he's going to be able to put a little bit of weight on. But we have seen guys with that build have some trouble with their feet, have some trouble with their knees. I mean, even Chet Holmgren, we talked about him last year. He injures himself and sits out a whole year. Not wishing any of that on this kid. Like you said, I hope he can stay healthy. But the only thing that does worry me is his frame. He's so slight of build. But on the other side of that, K-Walk, he's been playing professionally overseas. So it's not like he's coming out of high school or coming out of college. He's been playing against grown men. So I think that helps his transition into the NBA. So there's going to be a really happy team in about an hour, man, when they find out who gets that number one pick. Speaking of players, man, like the one thing I can say I've been super impressed with about this playoffs is that there is just a ton of talent in the NBA. We've seen a lot of great individual performances throughout these playoffs. And I wanted to get this question in last week when there were more teams available. But now that we're only down to 4, K-Walk, I want to know who are the 3 best players still alive right now in the NBA playoffs? Like, if you could only choose 3, who do you think the top 3 guys are still left playing?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously we touched upon 3 of these guys, all 3 of these guys in some form or fashion. And third guy I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna start 3 and I'll go to 1. I'll go my man Jimmy Butler, man. I just think what he's done with this team and how he's willed this team, if you will, to the point where they're at. No one saw this, including myself, and I'm a diehard Heat fan. I didn't see this coming, especially the way they entered into the playing game. They lose to Chicago. They lose to Atlanta. And then they were down, I don't know how much they were down, like 6-7, with like 3 minutes to go in that game. I think in that series against Chicago, they found a way to win that game. Then they go into the number one, again, against the number 1 team, where you're led by Giannis, number 1 seeded team. They won that first game. It's like, okay, they could do something here, maybe make some noise. Maybe they'll win, maybe in 6, they'll push it to 6, maybe 7. And then they go out and beat them 4-1. And now it's like, and you see what Jimmy did in that series alone, and then what he did obviously in the Knicks series. So everything that he's done, just willing his team, from a mental standpoint, obviously he's going out there hurt with the ankle and still building these guys' confidence, man. And he's just saying, this is what we're about. So Jimmy Butler for that. Jason Tatum, I put Jason Tatum here. I just didn't think anyone else, because it's at his performance. I guess since his last performance, that 51-point performance, it stuck out to me most. And I know he's capable of doing that night in and night out. And that's why it's frustrating to watch him, especially if you're a Celtics fan, because when you see him go 1 for 14 up to that point, that he just takes off after that point. Jason Tatum is the second guy. I just think, he's got to stop looking for fouls so much when he goes to the basket, though. That's his only problem. That's the only problem I have with him. But he has all the tools to be one of the best, if not the best player in the league. Yeah. And I think that the number 1 guy is Nikola Jokic. I mean, just think that, he finished second in the MVP race, two-time defending MVP champion before this past season. And what he did, and up to this point, what he made, how he made DeAndre Ayton look was just ridiculous. It's like a man amongst boys or a man amongst a boy. So yeah, Nikola Jokic gets it for me. So I got Butler, Tatum, and Jokic.
Yeah, man, I got the same 3. I'm gonna flip Butler and Tatum though. I'm gonna put Butler at 2, only because of the consistency factor. Right, Butler has gone out and done it to me. A little bit more consistency. Tatum obviously had that lights out game in Game 7, which was huge, but he's put a couple games out there throughout these playoffs that haven't been great. So just from the consistency factor, I'm going to take Butler over Tatum, but I got the same 3 guys as you do. How close was AD to breaking into your top 3? I've heard some people say that they felt like he's been the best player in the playoffs so far. I was like, I missed something. Was AD close at all to breaking into your top 3?
No, he wasn't. I had I think I would have put LeBron there before I put AD there. I just think that AD is AD. We know what AD is capable of, and that's why a lot of people get frustrated with AD because of the fact of the matter. We know what he's capable of, but he's just never healthy enough. So that's why he wasn't close to breaking my top. I didn't have a top 5, but I did. If you just posing this question, I would have had LeBron before AD though, for sure, in the top 3. Yeah,
my issue with AD, man, and maybe that's just how he looks, but to me, sometimes it doesn't look like he plays hard, and that just bothers me. Like when you're that talented, when you have that kind of skill, when you're that big, and it just feels like you're not necessarily playing hard. That just bugs me. I know he's had some really good games. I know he's playing outstanding defense. He's rebounding the ball well, but I just think he's got to be more consistent if the Lakers are going to make a serious run. AD is going to have to be great every single night. And for me, he just hasn't done that up to this point. So we'll see what happens tonight. We'll see how he shows up tonight, but I just would like to see some more consistency out of AD going forward. All right, man, let's shift gears a little bit here. We've been talking basketball all night, and obviously the NFL schedule came out this week, and it's always fun to kind of take a look at that and look at some of the matchups. But if we're just talking about week one, K-Walk, which we've got some nice games in week one, what game are you most interested in, or what game are you most excited about seeing when that week one NFL schedule does finally kick off?
Yeah, I mean, I think week one, obviously, my 49ers at the Steelers. I mean, as of right now, I don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be. So obviously at that point, we'll know who the starting quarterback will be. But obviously, for obvious reasons, the 49ers at Steelers, which is a 1:00 game. But yeah, there's two other. I could pick between one of the. I could just put my finger on one of these, Jay. So I narrowed it down to two of these games. I just think it's and the NFL got it right by putting him on primetime as well. And that's Cowboys at Giants. It's a Sunday night game.
Yeah.
I want to see this game more so from a New York Giants standpoint than a Cowboys standpoint, because what we talked about, some time back, right after the draft and the offseason acquisitions that both of these teams made, some didn't make them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I want to see what the Giants look like, and the Cowboys think that they could stand pat and still make some noise in the NFC East and then in the NFC as well. So at that game alone, I want to see what the Giants are going to look. The Giants made some interesting moves and some big time picks as well. They gave Daniel Jones that money, so I want to see if he can live up to that. So the Cowboys at Giants, that Sunday night game, is definitely on my radar. And then we got the Bills at Jets. We got Josh Allen, and all the end around, going against all the hype surrounded by Aaron Rodgers and the Jets organization and what they're about. And the Jets right now are, in a lot of people's minds, are Super Bowl contenders. And in a lot of people's minds, the Bills are the Super Bowl contenders as well. And these are both in-division rivals as well. So going to be very interesting to see these two games, man, especially. But if I had to only pick one of these, it would be the Bills-Jets, because of the Aaron Rodgers and the Josh Allen matchup. And let's see if the Jets are going to be able to live up to the hype. I don't know. Right now, I'm taking the Bills in this one, even though the Jets are home. I know it's early, ladies and gentlemen. I know we got 6-7 months, whatever it is. But right now, just what they're on paper, man. But you never know. But I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
Yeah, man, that's the one I had circled as the game that I'm really looking forward to. I think that's the Monday night game, right?
Monday night game?
Yeah. So that's going to be a good one. Just because, like you said, man, the Bills are going to be a good football team. I don't think there's any question about that.
Right.
But then all the hype around the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, I just think that's definitely one to look forward to. I mean, Jets fans have been saying, "Oh, we're just a quarterback away. We got a roster. We're just a quarterback away."
Exactly.
So now let's see. Let's find out if you were just a quarterback away. So that's definitely one of them. I wrote down a couple other ones, man. I think the Bengals and the Browns might be an interesting one as well.
Okay.
Division game, that's always a good little rivalry. So that's one I'm kind of looking forward to. And then I don't know if this will be a great game, but I'll have my eye on it. Texans Ravens, just because I want to see Lamar Jackson. He got signed, he got paid. I want to see what Lamar can do. And then obviously the young quarterback for the Texans as well, CJ Stroud. Nice to see if he's a starter from day one and kind of what he looks like as well. So that'd be a fun game to watch. But I agree with you. You're right. I think Bills, Jets, that's the marquee game of week one. So good stuff there, K-Walk. All right, man. When it's only a two-man crew, we kind of roll through the list pretty quickly.
No, right.
It's time for K-Walk's one ticket. So I'm going to turn it over to you, man, and see what you got for me tonight on this one ticket.
All right, man. I hope I get you on this one, man. This one is I try to put all four major sports here, but the first one we're going to go with the Immaculate Reception. For some of you who've been living under a rock, that's the Franco Harris catch against the Raiders back in 1972. Maybe you weren't living under a rock. Maybe you're just too young to recall that. But it's called the Immaculate Reception. Also, the 1979 national championship, men's national championship between Indiana State and Michigan State. Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson.
Man,
Michigan State wins that one 75-64. Then we got the Cal versus the Stanford versus Cal game back in 1982, where the band came on the field. The Stanford was up, and then Cal wins because of the bands on the field, so they wound up winning 25-20. And then the last one, man, this is for me and you, and that's for that's MJ, man. MJ in his last jump shot to win his sixth and final NBA championship in 1998.
Man, these are good, K-Walk. These are tough, man. Because when you think about the Immaculate Reception, Franco Harris, a Penn State guy, I was kind of leaning. I was kind of leaning there. That's such an iconic play. There's a lot of controversy even around that play. Did he catch it? Did it hit the ground? Was it a legal play? Because I think back then the rules were a little different, that the ball couldn't deflect off. It was just a weird rule back then. So some controversy there. Then when you think about Bird and Magic, man, just kind of like what that game meant and how it kind of just spiraled into their NBA rivalry and everything like that. That would have been amazing. The Stanford Cal game, I mean, that's iconic. I can still see that thing in my head. The band is on the field. Like, you can still see that in your head right now, man. But when you had to throw MJ out there, it's just so hard not to pick MJ, man. I remember exactly where I was.
Me too.
When MJ hit that shot. Exactly, like sitting in front. I see myself like sitting in front of. I remember exactly where I was, man. So I gotta go with MJ. If I could have been in the arena on that night in Utah, fans heated, hating MJ, and then for him to just silence everybody with that sweet jumper, I think that's the ticket I'd have to cash in, man. So give me MJ on that one.
Yeah, as I was making these up, Jay, or creating these, I was saying, which one am I going to pick? And I think I saved the best for last. I'm going to go with you here, man, because as you remember, I remember exactly where I was at when he hit that. And I just remember that last, 41 seconds, I think it was, that sequence that led up to that. The one where he came out of the timeout and just went right to the basket.
Gets the layup, right?
He gets the layup, and then it comes back down, and then Karl Malone has the ball, and he kind of, he doesn't really go all the way. He stays right there and knocks the ball out of his hands, and then that's it takes place. They don't call timeout. I'm yelling timeout. Timeout. But Phil's like, nah, we were good. And I just remember that shot of him just standing there, man. I just remember exactly what happened there. So yeah, they're definitely gonna go with that one. So good stuff there, Jay.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff. And you're right, man. People don't give MJ enough credit about the whole sequence, right? To go get the layup. And then to come back and make the great defensive play, secure the steal, not give the ball up, and then come down and hit the shot, man. That's a heck of a sequence when you really stop and think about it. I know everybody gets caught up with the jumper, right? It doesn't happen with those unless those other two plays happen before. Exactly. So yeah, man, that's big time for sure. All right, man. Let's get into our rants, K-Walk. We kind of blew through the list, man. A lot of great stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, every week we like to do a little rant here. You get 1 minute on the clock just to kind of talk about whatever you want to talk about. Could be positive, could be negative, could be just whatever's on your heart. So you get 1 minute to just give your rant. Okay, Walkman, I guess I'll start with you tonight. What you got for us?
Make it easy for you, Jay. Make it easy for you. I think the easy one to go with is Ja Morant. But, so many people for so many different things from so many different people. And ultimately, you come back down to the same common denominator is, what are you thinking? What are you doing? I've heard so many great ones. I think ones that stood out for me was Kwame Brown, excuse me. I liked his rant, and there was a couple other people, but his rant was good. So I'm gonna stay away from that because I don't think my rant could do any justice to all those guys. But yeah, just get your head right, brother, for sure, man. I mean, stop trying to be something you're not. But I'm going to go with Britne Griner. I'm going to go on a positive note here. I'm going to go with Britne Griner back in the WNBA, play the preseason game. So she's looking to get back. She's with my Phoenix Mercury, man, and I'm looking forward to the WNBA season starting up with the Britne Griner. See how I know it's going to. I thought it seemed like she was in there a lot longer. I know she'll tell you it was a lot longer. It seems like a lot longer, of course.
Yeah.
But a year removed, it seemed like it was a lot longer than that because of the circumstances. But I think she's going to get right back into it. So I'm looking forward to seeing Britne Griner, the WNBA, my Phoenix Mercury getting back up there, and hopefully they can win the title this year. But I think with the motivated, extra motivated Britne Griner, I think the Phoenix Mercury and then the WNBA, a lot of eyes are going to be on them, and rightfully so. Not just because of Britne Griner, it's just because it's a sport that has to have eyes on them for obvious reasons. Just great, just great stuff there. So looking forward to the WNBA season for sure.
Yeah, man, no, that's a great one. And I think that kicks off. I think they kick off this Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Friday night, 11 p.m. I think
of course.
On ESPN. I think it kicks off. So I'm definitely going to lock in and check that one out as well. So yeah, that's good stuff, man. It's great to have Britne Griner back. Real quick, man, before I hit mine, you did kind of bring up Ja Morant. And I don't even want to go on and on about this kid because it's just, hopefully, like you said, he can get his mind right and just kind of get back on track or whatever. But were you surprised? After the first incident happened, he came out, he made the apology. He said he was, trying to get things right. Were you surprised when this next video surfaces not, that much longer than the last would happen?
Yeah, Jay, very surprised. Even if this happened like 4 or 5 years down the road, just for it to happen again is just dumb. To be honest with you, you come out and you say that, you're going to work on yourself. You're going to work on to be a better person. You're going to work on to show everybody who you truly are. So I guess you did that. I guess you showed who you truly are.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were saying so many different things, and I'm going to just repeat or echo a lot of stuff that we've already heard. But yeah, man, you just got to be smarter, with the people you surround yourselves. You got so much money on the table, man, so much guaranteed money on the table, and to show guns, it's not a funny thing, man. And then you're not that guy, man. You're not that guy. You're just not that guy. I know you want to be that guy. You may want to portray yourself as being that guy, but you're not. And even if you are, let's just say for argument's sake, you are. Why do you want to be that guy? Why do you want to be that guy? Look what you have so much promised to you already. And now you're losing deals. You're losing money slowly but surely. If you keep going down this route, man, ultimately you're gonna be, making videos about robbing people. That's how your money. That's how you're going to be making your money, brother. That's just in the grand scheme of things. That's the road that you're heading down. And these guys that you're surrounding yourself with is just no help to you, bro. Your PR I want to hear about his PR people and how they spin this, Jay. What can he do? Can he say? What can he say to come back from this? I don't know. Do I want to hear it? No, I don't want to hear. Especially, I don't want to see it on camera. Just put a statement out through your PR people, your professional PR people, that is, not these guys that are showing them the video in the cars and the clubs or anything like that. Because I don't know how he can come back from this, Jay. And if he gets suspended for an entire year, I think that would be too light, to be honest with you. But I think he needs at least a year off with absolutely zero pay, for sure. Because I think, if he starts to see that his livelihood is being taken away from him and the way he pays his bills and take care of these guys or his family, if he sees that being taken away from him for at least a year, he'll start to see the severity of it if he hasn't already, man. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, that's the only way that you can kind of get to these guys. Like when you got that kind of money, like the only way to get a wake-up call is when they take the sport away from you and they don't allow you to play anymore. Then okay, now that's a wake-up call. But the thing is, like, you don't get to be a guy like Ja Morant without putting in a tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of practice, and then to have the world at your fingertips, basically, to have be able to have whatever you want pretty much, and then to just kind of be throwing it all away, just being stupid. Like I don't understand it, K-Walk, but
it's rough, bro.
Hopefully, man, this is the time that maybe the light bulb comes on for him. He figures it out. But man, I was surprised, man. I thought, it happened once. They kind of gave him a slap on the wrist. You would think that would have been enough for him to say, okay, I need to get it together. But then to go ahead and repeat the same mistake, even kind of worse this time than the first time, it's like, what is this guy thinking about? But you're right. Where is his PR? Who is leading this guy? Like he's got to get some of the right people in his corner, man. So it's going to be interesting, K-Walk. You said a year. I mean, it'll be very interesting if they put a year suspension on him. That's going to be hard to come back from, man. So,
for sure, man.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. My rant is about James Harden, man. You went positive with Brittany Garner. I'm going negative, K-Walk. This guy, man. I mean, at some point, like, he was absolutely horrible in Game 7. I mean, and at some point, I said it about Doc Rivers earlier, maybe you just have to face the music of this is who you are. I'm not saying you're not a great player. You're obviously a great scorer, obviously a great offensive skill set. Nobody's going to argue that. But when the money is on the line, James Harden, we have just seen you choke. And I hate to even use the word choke. I won't use the word choke. We've seen you come up short too many times. We've seen it in Houston on multiple occasions. Now we're seeing it here in Philly in a Game 7, a huge game for the franchise. You don't even score in double digits. You're tripping over your own feet. You're throwing the ball out of bounds. And not even to say that, because everybody has a bad game, but the lack of effort, the lack of heart, the lack of desire to just compete is what was most disappointing for me. James Harden, come on, man. You're a great basketball player. You got to start showing up in some of these big moments, man. That was absolutely embarrassing.
For sure. Well said, Jay. Well said.
Yeah, man, that was a rough one. All right, man. Let's go to who's balling. Let's get back on the positive before we get out of here. Every week, man, we want to shout out a team, a player, a coach, someone that's just been absolutely getting it done. We call it our Who's Balling segment. Okay, well, who you got this week? Who's balling?
Well, we know who's not going to be on this segment. I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Lakers, man. I think what they've done, and again, as we mentioned earlier throughout the show, what the road that they took to get here. And I guess I could throw my Heat in there as well, but I'll give it to the Lakers on this one right now, because they're playing tonight. That's the only reason why I'm giving it to the Lakers over my Heat tonight. But the Los Angeles Lakers, 7th seed, play-in game. They beat the Grizzlies. They wound up beating the Kings or the Kings, and then they beat the Grizzlies. No, I'm lying. I'm sorry. I forget who they played. They played the Grizzlies. Then they played the Warriors. So the Grizzlies and Warriors. Sorry, I got my teams mixed up there. But nonetheless, they're here. AD is also playing well. He's staying healthy, and he's being aggressive as well. And then you got some of these kids that are coming off of the bench that are making some noise. So they're playing complete basketball right now. And shout out to the Darwin Ham for sure. I don't think he's getting a lot of recognition for what this team and how he's coached this team. I know he's got some superstars, and maybe he's overshadowed by LeBron and AD and those guys. But I think he's done a phenomenal job of getting these guys together at the right time, having them play with so much confidence and cohesiveness as well. And I mentioned some of those guys, Patrick Beverly, Walker the fourth. These guys that I never heard of. Patrick Beverly, obviously, but I'm talking about Walker the fourth. Yeah. These guys you haven't heard of before. Not Patrick Beverly, but I forget who the other guy is. I forget it. It was nonetheless. But nonetheless, they're playing great ball. They're in a position to get to the NBA Finals. They play tonight, and we're going to see what they look like. But shout out to the Lakers, led by Coach Darwin Ham. They are absolutely balling.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. And that's a good shout out for Ham, because sometimes I think he does get overshadowed by LeBron and AD. And I think he's done a great job. Like, there's something about these coaches that will challenge their players and hold them accountable. I don't think there's a ton of them in the NBA. I think too many of these NBA coaches kind of placate to their stars and they don't want to say anything. But I've seen Ham hold them accountable. Your guy, Eric Spoelstra, I mean, he doesn't let nothing slide at all. And there's a reason why those organizations are winning. So that's a great call, man, because Ham has been I think he's underrated the way that he's kind of handled this team.
Sure.
Man, I got to go Tatum. I know it's an obvious
Okay.
one, but the way that he performed in that game 7 when everything is on the line, it was just phenomenal. I mean, he was unstoppable, especially coming off of a game 6 where he didn't really heat up until the fourth quarter. And then to bring that with him into game 7, one of the best performances we've seen in a game 7 in NBA history. So I got to give it to Jason Tatum, man. He was absolutely balling. All right, K-Walk, man, we did it in 60 minutes tonight. That was perfect, man. 2-man show, so it goes a little bit quicker. Britt will be back next week, obviously, guys. So, tune in next week. Britney will be here. But before we go, K-Walk, let the people know where they can find you. And then also, man, if there's just anything you're looking forward to this week.
Yeah, man. I mean, you could find me on Instagram, Kevin.Walker142, Twitter, Kevin Walker 142, Facebook, Kevin Walker. Wednesday nights, you catch me around Never Had It So Good Sports Radio. On those links I mentioned will be our for our live showing, and you can catch the replay on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff, guys. Again, it's Sports Talk with K Walk and E Scott, or Never Had It So Good Sports Media. Catch us there 7 p.m. For sure. What I'm looking forward to, I guess we talked about it, Jay. We talked about the obviously the NBA the conference finals. We talked about WNBA, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And some baseball as well, man. So it's that time of the year where things are getting a little thin from a sports standpoint, but it's more about the quality than the quantity at this point. So I'm definitely going to be diving into every little thing, if you will, for sure.
Yeah, man, that's the truth. I'm right there with you. A lot of basketball. You're right. Things are getting thin. I was watching the LPGA this weekend a little bit of women's golf. I know there's some track and field coming up this weekend. Probably tune into some of that. But all good stuff, man. All good stuff. You guys can find me at Jason Talk Sports on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. So check me out there. And then also hit that subscribe button, the SideLine Speaks. Again, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So check us out there as well. And tell a friend. Let them know we're out here. We're trying to grow this show, trying to grow the channel. So anything you can do to help, we certainly appreciate it. So for Kevin Walker and Jason Collins, we are the SideLine Speaks. We'll be back live next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Britne Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.
All right, man. Good stuff, K-Walk.